Ready for an exclusive interview at CNBC's At Work event. Here's what she had to say about her focus on artificial intelligence.
The original genesis of this was a belief that AI will change 100% of jobs. But if you're going to really get the benefit of it, you have to change how the work is done. And we chose to make HR, my HR leader chose to make HR really the role model example of that. And she has done a fantastic job putting AI in end to end. And in fact, I make her, she tracks. And we have now, just from the AI alone, my HR function has saved $300 million from just doing that piece of it. So it isn't just about, in part, it helps the employees because it completely makes HR employee-centric. You don't do things to people, you do it for them. It's consumer-centric because of how we apply the AI. But the other part of it is there's productivity on the other side, which is both important right now.
So often when we talk about artificial intelligence and we talk about work, the idea comes in of the robots are coming to take our jobs.
Yes.
To some extent, I think that's true. The robots are coming to take some jobs. But how do you use it, even at the individual level? How do you think about the technology in a way that actually helps you?
Yeah, well, our experience has been, and I'll just use, we were together talking about HR as an example. On one hand, you're right, we were able to replace a lot of routine work. And in the case of HR, our HR staffing went down by 30%. However, the people then doing the job of HR, they do far more non-routine work. Their salaries all went up, or their skills went up with it. And so you're going to have this trade-off. I mean, technology will drive productivity, but then it will also drive you and I to do our job different. So it sits at that intersection. Right. So everything from how we recruit today, I was sharing with you that, believe it or not, we're the #1 destination for Gen Z on Glassdoor. I get 8,000 resumes a day. Now, I don't make them go hunt for jobs. The AI talks to them, and they get to say, we ask very nicely and get permission. Share this with me, share that with me, share this LinkedIn review with me, share this resume. And instead of you looking for jobs, I'll serve up jobs to you that actually match you. And I should have said this, our match rate of applying is 30%. A normal, anybody else, it's about 9. Oh. So it just shows this effectiveness, or using the AI for things like a managed proactive retention. That is the ability to use many pieces of data that say, this person is likely to quit in the next 6 months, so do something now so that it never enters their mind. We're 95% accurate and saved $300 million in replacement costs from that. So these are both good for the employee, and it's really good for business.
There are an unprecedented number of companies, startups, going public this year. And that has got to create just an impact in the labor market, in the financial markets, just in demand for technology. What's your take on the significance of this boom right now that we're seeing at this stage of the economy and how it's affecting IBM?
Yeah, well, it's not just driven by that. I think you've got married here this idea that this whole new wave of technology is going to change everyone's job. Yeah. So it means reskilling of your current population. And
so they don't go to one of those startups?
Well, and also so they've got the skills that apply for the future. Yeah. So I think this point of the word transparency, you and I chatted about how being clear with every employee that is their skill in the market hot or not so needed, demand, and for your strategy, is it needed or won't be needed for the future? We update that every quarter, that matrix, and we share it with employees so they know where they are and they say, yeah, I got to move myself here, and we use AI to help them move to a new area. But I think what's happening in the market, whether or not there were IPOs, this would be happening anyways, this remake of skills. And so it means reskilling your current population. It means, I've shared before on the show, strong belief we've got to make this era of technology more inclusive.
Right.
6-year high schools, community colleges, and high schools together. We've been working with 500 other companies with those schools. There's a pipeline of 125,000 kids coming through.
And you said 15%?
And 15% of our hiring was less than 4-year high school, less than 4-year college graduates. Because if you're going to make this era inclusive, the technology is moving so fast, you've got to make it so more people can have a job. Cyber analysts, which there's going to be 2 million open jobs in cyber. Let me tell you how many people can actually fill that don't have to have all those credentials. And so I think if I just talk that one moment about making this era for this country inclusive, it's that, and 15% in particularly the middle of the country, right, where we've done that hiring.
How do you prepare leaders for that?
Well,
people who report to you for that, not only the discomfort that they're going to feel, but the discomfort that their people are going to feel.
We spend a lot of time talking about preparing people for uncertainty, leading in uncertainty. uncomfortable truths to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So we talk about this topic an awful lot because you are asking people to take risks. But I guarantee you, if I looked at you and I said, John, when have you learned the most in your life? If you shut your eyes, you will tell me it's when you were at risk.
I don't even have to shut my eyes.
Yeah, you would tell me that, right? It's such a natural big thing for everybody. And so that to me is what you have to make it overt, and you have to talk about it, and you have to put people in those assignments, be clear that's what it's an assignment for, and that to me builds in that kind of good risk taking in a culture.
You talked about IBM being a #1 target for Gen Z. Gen Z, I feel like that's a bad rap these days. And millennials too. All those young folks, they're saying about them all the things they used to say about Gen X back when I was younger. Have you noticed anything unique about Gen Z, about that workforce that's aspiring, you say, to be in IBM? Or is it pretty much, the generational stuff doesn't matter? People are just...
Well, I will tell you on generational issues as an example, one, I think, misconception people have is that people's ability to learn and transform is directly related to their age. That is we have found that to be absolutely not true. The same percentage of people who can transform, irrespective of age.
And usually people think the older people are the ones who can't.
Those are stereotypes, and it's absolutely not true in what we have found. I, by the way, have found it very true on consumerism as an example, pushing us to make everything consumerism and easy and agile. I have found that true across the entire workforce by segment. So do I think this idea of consumerism is especially important to a business design engineers at IBM, 20,000. I believe we may have the largest number in any corporate, and one of the best programs, second to the Stanford D School, on how to do this. And it was to bring in that idea of design thinking, sort of outside in empathy, simplicity, design with the end in mind, versus an engineering culture, which is always make this as do everything it possibly can, and then, at the last minute I better think about how to show it to a user, and they're so different, and that's what you have to bring in. So that generation pushes in that direction, right? That everything should be as simple as what I touch, and I think that's a really healthy thing.